Hello, I am magazine viewers and welcome in the new episode of Ask the Expert. Today my guest is a lovely lady. She's Jennifer Ngulube. She is living in the UK and today we're going to talk about leadership, motivation, philanthropy, but most of all actions. Welcome to the show, Jennifer.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me on.
It's a pleasure for us. Jennifer, you have been enlightening us with all your articles in I Am Magazine, and we felt really encouraged and motivated to interview you to know more about what you do. Can you introduce yourself, please, for our viewers?
Okay, thanks for the opportunity. My name is Jennifer Ngulube M.B.E. I am UK based, like Alexandra said. I am a member of the Most Excellent of the British Empire, as I was honored by Her Majesty the Queen in 2015 for services to children. I work a lot here in the UK with children that have gone through some level of trauma from the different levels of traumatic backgrounds. So my work here in the UK is based along giving back to children who were affected by trauma in one way or the other. Apart from that, I am also a philanthropist. I have a charity that I run in Zimbabwe. It is called One is a Million. This is a charity, again, that looks after vulnerable children. These are children that have lost both parents to HIV and AIDS. I am an author. I have written a book called Sailing Through the Storms of Life, which is basically a book that chronicles my own struggles, survival, and my own triumphs. I am also an inspirational speaker. I speak on quite a lot of platforms all over the world. Thanks for the opportunity.
Wow, that's pretty interesting. So, listening to your introduction, I would like to ask you, how was your youth, your childhood? How was it like?
My childhood was a very difficult childhood. I was born right at the beginning of the War of Liberation in my country, Zimbabwe. And I was brought up in a tiny little village. We didn't have any running water or electricity. And we grew up in a very tense environment because of the war situation. So yeah, I had a very difficult childhood, but at the same time, I have very fond memories of the village where I grew up, because I think because of the way we were brought up, even though there were terrible times, but there was a spirit of community in the village. So we were never alone, villagers had a way of keeping us all together for safety and everything else, which brings back my favorite saying that says, it takes a village to raise a child. So yes, I was raised by a village, but under very traumatic times in the middle of the War of Liberation.
And can we say that this story of yours is the building block, the inspiration that helped you to create those initiatives towards children?
I think my childhood has a lot to do with what I do now, because I'm drawn to children in difficult circumstances, because I experienced a difficult childhood. I remember there was a time when my mother fell ill when I was 12, and that was right in the middle of the war, and she had to be hospitalized. I had to learn to be a parent at 12. I parented my siblings and tried as much as I could to protect them as well from from the fighting that was going on. So yes, I survived that, and when I see a child struggling, I feel like I can give back and give them something so they know that things do get better. So yes, I'm drawn to children in difficult circumstances, which is why even here in the UK, I came here as a teacher, but moved away from teaching to fostering children. So I will always be around children or individuals who are in difficult situations, try and encourage them and give them hope.
So yes, indeed, that transition from being a teacher to being a foster parent is pretty obvious now because of your childhood, your why. And but you said you also are a member of the British Excellence. Is that MBE stands for?
It stands for Member of the Most Excellent of the British Empire, which is,
Okay.
yes, which is which is an honor that I got. From Her Majesty the Queen, when my work that I do was recognized by the state here in the United Kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
Something I'm very proud of, because I was just doing my work from the heart, and I didn't realize my work had impacted a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people around me, and they saw it fit to honor me. So yes, I am. That's how I am called Jennifer Ngulube M.B.E. at the end of my name, standing for a member of the British Empire.
And so far, can you remember how many kids you have taken care of?
It's very hard to count, because I look after kids here, I look after kids in Zimbabwe. But here, right here in the United Kingdom, I started doing this in 2007. And I can count 23 children that have come through my doors, that have nurtured, given them hope, and moved on. Some have stayed on. I've also gone on to adopt as well.
Wow.
And then there is quite a number of, I specifically look after child-led families in Zimbabwe,
Mm-hmm.
because I know what it's like to be a child and have the responsibility to look after your siblings.
Mm-hmm.
So in Zimbabwe, I have quite a lot of children. As I'll say, about 20 or so child-led families that I try and look after.
Yeah. Wow, that must be. And you have your own children.
I have 4 amazing, amazing children. I was blessed with 3 girls and a boy. I'm also a grandmother of 2. I must say, I mean, my kids are amazing, because they've allowed me to do what they've allowed me to follow my passion and my dreams.
Mm-hmm.
They've not come in the way of me finding my why,
Mm-hmm.
because sometimes it's hard for children to share their parent. And I
Indeed.
happen to be a single parent. So yeah, my children, I always call them my heroes, because
Mm.
they've allowed me to be myself.
Wow, indeed. I was about to ask you how challenging it could be to raise your own children and they have to share their mother with other 20 other children for 13 years. I mean, that could be a big challenge, but fortunately not.
I mean, we've sort of done this as a family.
Mhm.
I don't do it on my own, because
Mm,
it is a family job. So whatever I do, I engage my biological children.
mhm,
They've become almost like me. They've embraced a lot of children. Even when we
mhm,
travel abroad, they are the ones who sort of
mhm,
are very proactive in getting things put together for the children that we look after. So it is something that we do as a family. I don't
mhm.
think it will work if I tried and do it on my own.
Definitely, I totally agree, and I can picture, I kind of picture it while you're telling the story, and it is very impressive, and it's a great act of generosity. You also, so you do the philanthropy here in the UK, also in Zimbabwe. Your foundation is called One is a Million,
It
right?
is, yes.
Mm-hmm.
It is called One is a Million. I decided to call it One is a Million, because I believe if you change one life at a time, they go on to change many more lives. So this foundation embraces not only children, it also embraces women who find themselves at crossroads.
Mm-hmm.
So I do a lot of coaching for women in Zimbabwe, particularly the town where I come from, which is called Bulawayo. So when I
Mm-hmm.
go back home, I hold like some motivational events and get women together. We just celebrate each other, we encourage each other, and we also keep in touch virtually.
Mm-hmm.
And the same ladies that I coach have become a very, very magnificent if that's the word.
Magnificent and significant at the same time.
Yes, I know. I tend to mix those two. So they've become very magnificent in terms of helping me with the children that I look after, because they are on the ground. So I'm based here in the UK. I'm mothering children in Zimbabwe. I need mothers on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm so blessed that I have managed to coach these women, and they assist me in terms of, harnessing the stuff that is needed for the children.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm still looking for more mothers, if there are some out there
Mm-hmm.
who want to join us and do what I call virtual fostering.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's gone virtual now. So if you're interested, please get in touch.
Mm-hmm.
We will connect you with a family. It doesn't matter what you do. You can decide to buy them just school shoes. You can decide to buy them blankets. You can decide to buy them food. Or you can just decide to be a mentor and get connected to these children.
Mm-hmm.
Because, the need is real. Before COVID, life was already difficult. Yeah. With COVID, you can imagine how difficult life is for these children. Yeah. So yes, the women that are under 1 is a million and the children that I look after have sort of help feed each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So basically, let's say that someone that is based in Europe, here in the UK, or like me in Belgium, can actually foster a kid who is in Zimbabwe, or even somebody in Zimbabwe or anywhere in the world. You can provide for a child that is part of your foundation.
Yes, they can get in touch with myself, and then we can go through the process and see how best they can get linked to the families.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a formal fostering. It is it is supporting children in need.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's very difficult to do the formal fostering with different rules and boundaries that run the different countries. Mm-hmm. But this is an emotional connection with children and sort of seeing them through their darkest hours. It doesn't need people to be in the same space. It just needs people with the right attitude, with enough time, a bit of resources. It doesn't take a lot, because mind you, the currencies are a bit stronger this side of the world.
Yeah.
So I have people who are able to say, provide 20 euro, 20 pounds, and we sort of arrange with the donor what the money is meant to be for. And the process will involve the donor, so they see exactly where their money has gone. They'll see the money arriving, they'll see the stuff that's been bought, they'll see the stuff being handed to the children. So yes, anyone in the world, please get in touch.
Yes, and I think this is a very important thing, that there is this transparency and possibility to trace where the money is going. I guess this is the reason why it works quite well for 1 is a million. I had a question in mind. Could you share, because I know a lot of people do philanthropy, what would be the key things to make a foundation work, like to really be sure the foundation can be properly managed and actually achieve its objectives?
I think clarity is one thing. You've got to be exactly clear on who you are wanting to help, and have your why as well. Why are you doing it? Because if you don't have your why, you're going to run out of steam. See, I'm connected to the children because of my why. My why is helping a child who's in a situation that I was in as a child. So I think a clear structure as to what exactly do you want to do, and why do you want to do it, and why that particular charity. And the biggest thing again is transparency in terms of the finances, because people are giving their monies wholeheartedly. It's not nice for people to start wondering, where has our money gone? Precisely why I have this paper trail, right from the money being received to it being collected, to it buying stuff to the child receiving the stuff. And we also connect the children with their donors through video calls, because the mothers on the ground have mobile phones. So if you want to talk to a child, so I think that that clarity for the donor is very important.
Yes.
So they're not left wondering. And a lot of charities, I think, fall into the trap of not being accountable.
It is.
To me, accountability is everything. Even if you give me £5, I will account for your £5 because it's not my money.
Yes. It's a beautiful system. I really think that people should get inspired by that, because probably most of the time, and it's not about Africa, or even let's take European foundations. Sometimes you give the money, but probably it just goes to some, I don't know, some fees to pay some charges, but you don't know where it goes. You just know that they are helping this area of the world, but you never know who actually is helped by the money. And I think it's also very rewarding to see, okay, this is what I did, and this is who it has helped. I think it's very important.
Precisely, because it then creates a relationship between yourself and this child. Because for me, that emotional connection is very, very necessary. And it also not only empowers the child, it empowers the woman who is being trusted to go and give the stuff to the child.
Yeah.
So it's a very empowering process for the donor, for the recipient, and for the ladies that are on the ground that are assisting. So yeah, we are very transparent in how we do things.
So it's amazing how you manage to fulfill two objectives at the same time, really empowering women to be responsible of managing for the assets, and for the children also to feel loved, to feel to feel like they matter, and to give them encouragement for them to go to school and to survive and to live a decent life despite circumstances.
Precisely. I mean, even the ladies, because like I mentioned earlier on, these are ladies that I coach before they start getting involved in One is a Million. A lot of them have found that they had a lot of hidden skills. So once we are able through coaching to draw out the talents that they've got, help them to set up small projects for themselves. I have a lady who's gone on to open a school. I have a lady who is at the moment in the process of opening her own small place for children that have been sexually abused. I have a lady who's running her own chicken business. She rears and sells chickens. So they come to me thinking they have nothing. And then we sit together through coaching, we help each other to grow. And when they've realized how much work they've got, how much skill they've got, sometimes I financially help these women with their very small projects, which doesn't cost a lot, but for them it's a lot. And then you see, they are empowered. I'm empowered. They are empowered. The children are empowered. It's almost like like a chain reaction.
It is. Yeah, it is. Wow. And so, so far, I remember you told me that 250 women are part of the empowering group.
Yes.
And the achievement, well, let's say that while doing all these things, you also wrote the book. So you are the author of Sailing Through the Storm of Life.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little about brilliant. Brilliant. Tell us a little about the book.
This is a book that I wrote when I got honored by the Queen, because I have gone through so much myself in my childhood life, in my adult life, and then I got that moment of such magnificent, insignificant. Again, we're going back to that word. I don't know why I keep going to it.
It has to be both.
So, that's the moment when I sat down and I said to myself, you know what? Life has been hard, but I'm proud because from that little village girl who ran barefooted to school, went through the war, survived a genocide in my country, fled to the UK, gets honored by the Queen. I'm proud of myself. I sat down and penned the whole story of my life, which is the book that I use to motivate other people when I have my speaking events. To say, I mean, look at me, this little village girl from a very tiny place, and see if you follow your passion, where life can take you. So yeah, the story is basically about my trials and my triumphs, but I am hoping it inspires other people who are finding themselves in difficult situations to say it does get better with time.
That's a great encouragement. It does get better with time.
It does. It definitely does.
And really, it's about working hard and see how you can change the circumstances of your life. And I find it very, very inspiring. I want to ask you, what are the lessons learned that you can share about your life, like fostering kids, philanthropy, empowering people, just life? How would you summarize the lessons that you've learned?
I think the biggest thing I would say is something that my own mother passed to me. She always said, no matter how hard life is, stay true to yourself. You know, when you're true to yourself, you're true to your cause. And that sees you through the hardest times. Because once you start to lose yourself and lose your sense of identity, then you are not anchored. So what's kept me going is I've remained anchored. No matter how strong the winds are, no matter how turbulent times are, I remain anchored in my core. So I would say that's the biggest message. Never lose who you are, no matter what happens to you, no matter who you are. Precisely why I like my African, because I'm this village girl, I'm this African girl from a small village. I live in the UK, yes, but deep down, the core of me is I'm African. I'm African. So I think if you stay true to yourself, then you'll be true to everything else around you.
Yeah, and you have achieved quite big things, I have to say. I'm also very impressed by all that you've done so far. What is the biggest leap of faith that you had to take when trying to do all these activities?
I think everything. Everything, because I've got to where I am because I've been taking leaps of faith all the way. I'm like a frog that leaps from one place to the other, because it's not about the destination. You don't want to arrive where you're going, then your eyes keep seeing better opportunities and you keep leaping. So I'll say my whole life has been a leap of faith. And even in terms of my choices in what I'm doing in life, it's all been a leap of faith. When I started this journey of fostering here in this country, I had all the odds against me. I had just arrived in the country. I've been in the UK for 17 years, and it's a very closed sector. I had to prove myself beyond reasonable doubt that I am who I'm saying I am before I could be trusted with other people's children. So I didn't put that as a barrier. I went out of my way to make sure people saw me for who I am. And I had this dream way before even coming here. I've always known I will be around children throughout my life. But it's different when you're working in Europe with children, because you have to go through a lot of checks. So yes, everything I've done, it's been a leap of faith.
Wow. Um, okay. I have one last question for you, and it will be the word of conclusion of that interview. Um, yes. What could be the best advice you can give to someone who wants to do what you've done?
Because I wear so many hats.
Let's say
I
that
wear so many hats. I'm a
empowering
mother.
empower
Sorry.
maybe more about the empowerment, because this is something I think a lot of people are trying to do, to
Okay.
empower other women to do better in their lives. So what would be that thing that you can tell them so that they manage, or it can be also a general advice for women? What
I
can
would
you
say
say?
empower yourself first. Because
Mm-hmm.
if you're not empowered, you can't empower the next person.
Mm-hmm.
I have invested a lot in my personal development. I wear so many hats, not because it's because I'm hungry. I'm
Mm-hmm.
hungry for change. I'm hungry for opportunities. I'm hungry for empowerment, and I've empowered myself so that I am so anchored. I'm able to carry the other people that I empower, because I'm of no use to other people if I'm not empowered in myself. So I'll say, I mean, there's so many causes out there, and needless to say, COVID has made things a lot more difficult for a lot of people. But get yourself into a good place yourself, mentally, emotionally, before you embark on these things, because they will suck out a lot of energy out of you. And it's important to know as well how much you can carry. There are people who do not have the potential to look after two. So if you can look after two, you've done your bit. There's people who have the potential to look after 50. So you know yourself. Never try to be like the next person. Do whatever you can within your own limits. I think that's fundamental, because
Mm-hmm.
we tend to put pressure on each other without noticing, and then we tend to try and want to be the next Oprah, the next so and so. But Oprah is Oprah. She's happy to be herself. I'm happy to be myself.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as you're in that place where you're still looking outside yourself, I would say try and anchor yourself, find yourself, and then you're in a good place to be able to, to help other people.
Brilliant. Well, that would be the word of conclusion, to really get to know yourself first and to empower yourself first. Know what you can carry, know what you can manage, and you will be able to teach others how to be empowered and to manage.
Exactly. And
Hmm.
ask for help.
That's
Ask for
true.
help. With the virtual world we're living in, there's so many other people who are interested. Like, I've been asking for help because I can see the need is bigger than my own pockets. So ask for help.
Hmm. True. Well, thank you so much, Jennifer, for spending this time with us and sharing about your story and what you do. I want to remind our viewers that if they want to give more strength to the foundation One is a Million, they can get in touch with you. We will leave your contact details in the description of this interview, and they will be able to get in touch with you, whether it is to give support to a child, or even if it's about providing um, maybe not money but materials, etc., etc. I am magazine viewers. If you have questions for Jennifer, if you have comments about that interview, please let us know in the comment. We will be happy to read and to answer them. Until the next time, I wish you a beautiful day. Thank you, Jennifer, again. And we will have another Ask the Expert episode the next month. Thank you. Bye bye. Bye, Jennifer.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye.